Pathological liar and Republican Representative George Santos has introduced legislation that would require the President of the United States to undergo not just a mental competency test, but also physical competency tests. According to his Executive Mental Competency Protection Act of 2023, which, for the record, has 0 co-sponsors right now, George Santos's bill would, quote, test general intellect, reading and comprehension, attention and concentration, processing speed, learning and memory, reasoning, executive functions, visuospatial skills, motor speed and dexterity, mood and personality, and memory retention. The president would have to take the test on January 1st of each year, or else the White House would lose funding for that year for official travel. So, under this bill, which again, it tests everything I just read, like your dexterity, because yeah, president, you got, I don't even understand it. I'm not even going to pretend to understand it. And on New Year's Day, you're going to make them take this test. Like, what if you have a crazy New Year's Eve? You got to wake up the next morning, take this cognitive test. That's going to be a little difficult, bud. Maybe push it a couple days after New Year's Eve might work better. Not to mention the fact that if they fail it, they only lose funding for official travel from the White House. Like, they're not kicked out of office. Like, oh, we've determined you're unfit to be president, so you have to stay home for a full year. You're basically just putting them in a timeout if they're not mentally competent enough to be president of the United States. So it's no wonder that this piece of legislation has 0 co-sponsors, because it's idiotic. Now, Santos claims this is definitely not a dig at Biden. It's regardless of party affiliation, the president would have to do this. So suddenly, Santos is concerned about a politician's qualifications for office? Isn't that ironic, coming from a man whose serial lying could be seen by mental health professionals as a pathology? Like, there may be something wrong with you, George Santos, which is probably why your piece of legislation exempted everybody other than the President of the United States. I mean, should we not have this test for cabinet members? Should we not have it for the Speaker of the House, for the, majority leader in the Senate, just the president? Interesting. Also, let's not forget that plenty of presidents throughout history, both on the left and right, would not be able to pass some of these tests just simply based on the merit. Trump would certainly not pass the mood and temperament portion. FDR obviously wouldn't be able to pass some of the physical parts of it due to, being in a wheelchair. Reagan definitely wouldn't pass the cognitive part, the processing speed, things like that. Same thing with George W. Bush. So you got a lot of problems with this legislation. It goes a little bit too far. Now, I am all for competency tests for politicians, but I don't want it to be for just over the age of 70 or 75. If we're going to have tests, it needs to be for everybody. You should, as an elected official, have to go through some kind of, qualifying event other than just being, hey, well, I was here, I filed to run, I won. Oops, didn't think it would happen. Yeah, I think we need to hold our elected officials to a higher standard than we currently do, absolutely. But I also believe that Santos's legislation is way, way off the mark here. It's stupid, to put it bluntly. And of course, it singles out just the president when we have plenty of other people who may not have the title of president, but they can inflict just as much damage as a president can, so they should probably go through the same kind of testing. But I think if anybody's going to propose testing, it needs to be an individual that hasn't lied about every single aspect of their history, again, leading a lot of mental health professionals to think that they are suffering from some kind of pathology, which is what some people have suggested about George Santos. Worry about your own mental health, George Anthony DeVolder Santos, and stop being so concerned about whether or not somebody else is qualified to hold office when most of us, including the majority of your constituents, agree that even you don't fit that description. Hey everyone, this is Aspen. And did you know that for the low cost of $0 per day, you can subscribe to the Fair and Balanced YouTube channel? We also encourage you to like, comment, and share, but again, click that subscribe button and help Aspen not be so grumpy.